Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are stepping way away from the busy shipping lanes, away from the core worlds, and we're heading out into the black.
And not just any black, we're talking about the kind of silence that feels heavy.
Exactly. We're looking at a stack of logs from the USS Arawyn covering a mission in the Tethra Corridor.
Which is a fascinating, if a little unnerving, region of space. The Spinward March. It's got a reputation.
It really does. And looking at the star charts in the briefing, you can see why. The logs describe the corridor as having a deliberate emptiness. It's less of a route and more of a rumor.
The kind of place where things go wrong, or at least where the universe decides to throw something at you that is definitely not in the manual.
And it certainly did. Today we're diving into the arrival of the Eirians, a species that, well, literally fell out of the sky.
Yeah.
You've got a biological ship that remembers its own trauma, a temporal sickness that turned the crew's memories against them.
And on top of all that, a really haunting personal mystery with an engineer named Ryan Collingway that grounds all this high-concept sci-fi in something very, very human.
That's the key, isn't it? Because when physics breaks down...
And it absolutely breaks down in these logs. All you have left is the people.
Ugh.
So let's set the scene. The Arawyn is 2 weeks out from Starbase 369. Captain Sabrina Corbin writes that the crew has settled into a rhythm. It's quiet, almost boring.
Until it isn't. Lieutenant Powell and Lieutenant Commander Sorvac pick up a signal.
And this wasn't a standard SOS, was it? Looking at the sensor logs, this was something else.
Yeah, Sorvac, the science officer, he described the signal as architectural.
Architectural, that's a strange word for a radio wave.
Right. I mean, a signal usually carries data, a message, telemetry, but the signal was using subspace as a frame.
Like building a house out of radio waves.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
A house just to keep a door open. It wasn't a message saying, help me. It was a structure projected into subspace to stop a hole from closing. That is wild. It implies a whole different understanding of subspace mechanics. And before they can even figure it out, space just tears open.
A massive gravitational shear. The logs show the sensors went completely off the charts for about 4 seconds.
And out of this distortion comes a ship. Captain Corbin describes it tumbling, venting plasma, but she also says it was beautiful.
Like metal under frost. That description is so important. It's the first clue that this isn't just a machine. It's delicate, organic.
So the Arawyn snags it with a tractor beam, which sounds like a nightmare, but they stabilize it. And this is where we get our first look at what the logs call the anatomy of the unknown.
A good way to put it, because once they start scanning the Eirian vessel, the laws of physics get a little fuzzy.
Fuzzy is an understatement. Engineering, Ensign Quinn and Corin Arlen, they start scanning this thing, and they find a spot inside the ship that the sensors just can't see.
The displaced region.
Yeah, it's not shielded, it's just gone. A void. A scar on the sensors.
And the hypothesis they come up with is fascinating. They think the rift didn't just open near the ship. It opened inside it.
Whoa.
So the hole literally buckled around this tear in reality like a bandage. This living ship is wrapped around a dimensional wound.
Which explains why it feels alive. The veins of light, the ionized air. But here's the part that really got me. Ensign Mira Quinn boards the ship. She finds this vast chamber with breathing columns.
The memory place.
Right. And she touches one, and she doesn't get a data download. She hears music, the echo of the crossing, and it just overwhelms her.
The ship is projecting its trauma into her. Think about that. We're used to buttons and touch screens, input, output. The Eirians use emotional history as an interface. The ship remembers, and it shares that memory.
It's a completely different paradigm. If your laptop could make you feel its panic when the battery died.
We'd treat our tech very differently.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the people inside this breathing ship, the Eirians.
The 9 survivors. And they are definitely not from around here. Copper-based blood, 2 stomachs, translucent skin, and they glow.
Bioluminescence. But again, it's not just for show. It's tied directly to their emotional state.
So you can literally see how they're feeling. That must make parties interesting.
Brutally honest. But it was a huge problem at first. The universal translator just failed. It couldn't get a lock.
Because their language isn't just words.
No, it's also subspace resonance and light pulses. It's like trying to translate a symphony with a dictionary. You lose all the nuance.
So they needed a bridge. And that bridge came from Commander Susanna Battenberg.
She attempts a Vulcan mind meld with their leader, Elara, which is a huge risk, a massive risk.
I was going to say, you have no idea what their neurology is like. It could be toxic.
But it was a calculated risk. And the aha moment from that meld is crucial. Battenberg realizes they aren't a hierarchy.
They don't give orders like captain to crew.
No, it's a cooperative. The UT finally clicks, and the translation is, you guide, we follow.
You guide, we follow. That's such a different way of looking at leadership. It's about trust, not authority.
It's a function, not a rank. And once they can communicate, they learn the truth. These Eirians aren't from the next sector over.
No, they're from the Caloran Reach.
Which, as far as they can figure, is about 70,000 light years beyond the galactic rim.
Beyond the rim, that just changes the scale of everything. They didn't just get lost, they fell out of the galaxy.
Through a dimensional tear. It's a cosmic accident, unimaginably far from home.
So, you've got these beautiful, glowing people stranded. The Arawyn is trying to help. And then the crew starts getting sick.
And this brings us to the temporal sickness.
Yeah, this part is trippy. It starts with dizziness, nausea, but then people start seeing things.
It's diagnosed as a subspace-induced temporal perception variant. The Arawyn was out of phase with the wrist's harmonics. The human brain just isn't wired to process time that isn't linear, so it panics. It starts filling in the gaps with hallucinations.
But they weren't random. They saw moments. Very personal moments.
Anchor points. Like Captain Corbin. She's on the bridge, in a crisis, and suddenly she's in a kitchen, making tea. She feels this intense sense of peace and belonging.
And then, bam, she's slammed back to reality with a migraine. It's her brain trying to escape to a moment of total safety.
And Dr. Amberlin's vision is even more telling. She sees herself as a child on a swing set. It starts joyful, but then she swings too high into darkness, and the joy turns to terror.
It just shows how fragile our reality is. Tweak the right frequency and your mind just drifts. So how did they fix it?
Engineering had to flood the ship with high-density anion particles. Basically radiation to staple everyone's perception of time back to the present.
And they handed out a drug called nardanidal.
A chemical patch on a temporal wound. But not everyone's hallucination was about tea or swings. And this is where we need to talk about Ensign Ryan Collingway.
Right. The human drama at the center of all this sci-fi. He's an engineer, seems hardworking, but his file shows he's carrying a mountain of guilt.
From his time on the USS Arawyn, he was lost to the Borg. Ryan survived, but his superior, Lieutenant Menden, did not.
And when the sickness hits Ryan, he sees Menden, covered in blood, accusing him.
I asked you to protect the truth, Ryan. That's what the hallucination screams at him.
Okay, let's unpack this conspiracy, because this blew my mind. A Benzite counselor named Barda contacts the Arawyn.
And the official story is that Ryan shot Menden to save him from assimilation. An accident, maybe?
But the Benzites have a different theory, that Menden wanted to die.
And it's all about Benzite physiology. Barda explains that for them, assimilation, the altering of their genetic code, is a supreme crime on their homeworld. It's a corruption of their collective nature.
So even if he was rescued, he'd be a pariah.
Essentially. The theory is Menden realized what was happening and forced Ryan to kill him. To avoid the shame of becoming a hybrid, he chose death over that.
That is heavy. So Ryan isn't just dealing with PTSD, he's holding this massive cultural secret to protect his friend's memory.
And it's eating him alive. Plus, his father back home wants him to quit Starfleet. He's being squeezed from all sides.
Here's one bright spot, though. Allura Rin, the morale officer.
I loved reading her notes. She brings him real dessert. Rijin sea honey custard, not the replicated stuff.
Not approved by anyone who worries about sugar ratios. It's such a human moment.
It is a small act of kindness, but for someone like Ryan who feels completely unworthy, it's huge. She's trying to pull him out of what she calls safe mode.
An engineer in safe mode. That is such a perfect description. Just doing the bare minimum to avoid crashing.
But he pushes her away. He feels like a fraud. It just highlights that the hardest problems are still the ones inside our own heads. The Eirians have a ship that remembers trauma. Ryan is a vessel remembering trauma.
That's a powerful parallel. So we've got the sickness, Ryan's crisis, and the Eirians who just want to go home. But the door they came through, the rift, it isn't empty.
No. This is the part of the logs called holding the door.
There's a creature in there, a massive one.
They'd already seen a smaller one, a child that fed on Veritan particles. But this is the parent. And it's huge.
And the Eirians have to go right through its domain to get home, which leaves Captain Corbin with a classic dilemma. Risk your ship to help or keep them safe here, stranded forever.
She trusts them. They say the path remembers itself. They want to go.
Yeah.
They believe the creature won't harm them.
So the Arawyn uses its deflector to stabilize the corridor. They're literally prying the universe open. They've got a 32-minute window before power fails.
The tension in the bridge logs here is you can feel it. And just as the Aryan ship enters the rift, the massive creature appears.
And everyone holds their breath. Is it going to attack?
But it doesn't. It supports the corridor.
It helps them.
It creates a stable passage, cradles the Aryan ship. Yeah. It recognized that the Arawyn was returning the people who had cared for its child. It was a reciprocal act.
Amazing. It's not a monster, it's a guardian. So the Arawyn ship crosses the threshold, the balance snaps, the Arawyn gets thrown into a spin, but they stabilize.
And the rift vanishes.
Gone. No debris, no energy wake. Just silence.
The silence returns.
I want to read from Captain Corbin's final log because I think she nails it. She says, "We scanned everything, and still there is nothing. The universe closed around the space they occupied and left nothing behind."
It's that ambiguity. Did they make it? We don't know.
She says, "Hope is not evidence, but it is what remains when the sensors go dark."
That's a powerful thought for a Starfleet captain. They deal in hard data. But here, success is accepting that some stories don't have a confirmed ending.
And she notes that they could have pushed harder, probed the rift, maybe found out for sure, but they chose to just hold the door.
We held the door long enough, and then we let it close. It's a victory of restraint. Sometimes the best you can do is just give someone else the chance to find their own way.
So stepping back, what's the big takeaway here?
I think it's that technology, whether it's a starship or a biological vessel, is ultimately a vessel for emotion, for history. The Eirian ship remembered its trauma. Ryan Collingway is carrying his.
And the only way through it was connection. Batenberg with Alera, Alora with Ryan, the Arawyn with the creature.
Exactly. Connection is the stabilizer. Just like the neutral particles stabilize the timeline, empathy stabilized the entire situation. Without it, the Eirians would be lost, and Ryan would still be in safe mode.
Wow. Empathy is the stabilizer. That should be on a plaque in engineering.
It's cheesy, but in this case, scientifically accurate.
I'll take it. So we leave the crew of the Arawyn back to their routines, but they know that somewhere 70,000 light years away, there might be a ship of glowing people who made it home because they held that door open.
And sometimes that has to be enough.
Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. A huge thank you to the logs of the USS Arawyn for taking us on that journey.
It was a pleasure to analyze them.
And here's a final thought for you to mull over. We talked about how the hallucinations showed the crew their deepest fears or comforts. If you were hit with a temporal wave right now, where would your mind go? A sunlit kitchen? Or back to a moment you're trying to forget?
That is a provocative question.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next deep dive.